Hi, everybody. Welcome to the Asian American Chamber of Commerce of Illinois. And we're in the Japanese American Citizens League building. So that's where you are today in beautiful Andersonville. We're very pleased to have Alderwoman Nicole Lee from the 11th Ward here today. And
That's okay. Hannah Jones with the Department of Planning and Development, Small Business Development Bureau.
Alderwoman Lee, you want to take it
Yes,
away?
just a couple of things before we get started, and thank you, Megan. First, for all that you do in the Asian American community to help small businesses. The work that the chamber does is really important. And thanks to JCL also for sharing the space today and allowing us to host this event here. As one of two Asian American representatives on the city council, I know I'm pretty far from home right now. I represent my community in the 11th ward, but also important to me is that I represent Asian American voices on the city council. And I think for far too long, our Asian American business community hasn't had a seat at the table. It's one of the things that I've been very focused on and really wanted to bring the resources together. So we just did one of these in the 11th ward for small business owners. We often talk about the city being broke. Generally it is, but there are funds that are already set aside and programs to help small businesses. And I want to make sure that, our community has the opportunity to at least have the information so you know what's available, what you're eligible for, and get some tips on how to apply for these things. There are deadlines for certain grants. Hannah's going to go over. She's phenomenal, by the way. Just roll with it.
Just get used to her style.
Yeah, no, it's great. So it keeps it fun for sure. But there are funds available. Like right now in the 11th ward, we have our small business improvement fund for 35th and Halsted open. So those are easy application. That's like first come first served. And if there are more people, then there's money. It's a lottery. I mean, so certain things are super easy. Other things are a little bit more difficult. But there are funds available to help support our businesses, property owners as well. So really want to make sure that the information's out there. We are recording this today, so we'll share it with folks too who couldn't make it. Unfortunately, I can't stay for the whole thing today. So I apologize that I'm not able to do that. I'm missing out on a really nice lunch with Megan. We're supposed to go to Mignoli, which we've been trying to do since they opened. When I'm finally up north, I have to go back down south for another meeting, but ask lots of questions. We'll probably make this a series. This will be the first one. We have some intentions to do similar to what's happening with the Business Expo, and sort of building off of that. It's getting other city agencies together. So BACP from a permitting perspective and licensing. We'll do something with the Department of Buildings as well, just understanding if you're going to be remodeling a space or anything like that, how to navigate that process. So look for more to come to support our small business community. But thanks for all that you do, and thank you for coming today. And Juanita from my staff is going to stay. If there's any questions, whether they're word specific or not, probably not for this group, but anything that between Hannah and Juanita with the city, we can probably get answered for you. Okay. Thanks so much again for coming, you guys. Hannah, you're on.
She records these, so I stay in line. Hi, everyone. I'm Hannah Jones. I'm with the Department of Planning and Development in our Small Business Development Bureau. It's a new bureau, about 2 years old now, which I know doesn't sound very new, but is for the city. So it's led by Mary O'Connor. She herself is a business owner, so we do know what we're doing there. I also, if anyone does need translations, Katie is here to offer Mandarin Chinese. Just let us know, okay? All right, great. And Elle is going to be assisting me with the slides. So,
All right.
So I'm going to go through our small business development grants. So we have multiple different grants at the city. I'm going to touch on the community development grants. I'm going to touch on the NOF grant. I'm going to touch on our small business improvement fund. And then I'm also going to touch on a new program that we have called Workforce Solutions. So for our grants programs, I'm going to go into some program details. I'm going to go into some application tips for our grants that are competitive. And then I'll just have some resources on the last slide for you all. I believe the chamber and the ward office is going to be sending this out afterwards. So these slides are very dense with text. Do not feel like you need to take all the notes. We're going to send them out. They're dense with text. So that way I can do the high overview and then I can send it out and you can dive deeper. Okay. First, we got program details, and there's Mary O'Connor right in the center, our lovely bureau lead. We love Mary. Her brownies are phenomenal. Next slide. Oh, that's weird. Why is it doing that? Well, whatever. That thing is over there, so you don't need to worry about that. I'm going to do a high-level overview here of what the programs are. So we have our Community Development Grant Small that I mentioned. That's open biannually. We have a deadline coming up of August 14th, and we have a max award of $250,000 for that one. Our Small Business Improvement Fund is a non-competitive grant, which means you just have to get your application in, and as long as there is enough funds for everyone who applies, you generally get a grant as long as it's eligible. So Bryn Mawr and Broadway, that TIP district is open for SPIF applications on May 1st through May 30th, and we have just south of $800,000 available for the businesses in that TIP. So you do have to be in that district in order to qualify for that area, for those funds, but more on that later. So I know we're up north, but I know this is a part of like a chamber that we're at. So I did include our Neighborhood Opportunity Fund, which is typically more on the south and west side. Again, it's a competitive process. We have a deadline of May 15th and then another one of August 14th. It's open 4 times a year. And you can actually get $300,000 max. So you do have to be in an NOF eligible area, but again, more on that later. And then I know that today is the 29th, but I still have this in here. Our Workforce Solutions grant is open until tomorrow. Workforce Solutions, all of these are capital improvement grants. So for permanent improvements that you're making to your physical commercial space, except for Workforce Solutions. So that's up to $250,000 for training, either incumbent workers or on the job training for new hires that are Chicago residents. So we will touch more on that later, but that is our only grant that is not for capital improvements. It is for workforce training. Next slide. Okay, so I'm going to go into the grant structure of the small business, or excuse me, the Community Development Grant Small. It is my favorite program we have because I run it. So this is for up to $250,000 of total, 75% of eligible project costs of $250,000 for improvements you're making to your space. So I'm going to just mention this here, and Juanita saw me do this last week, so I'm going to do it again. All of our grants are reimbursement based. Can you say reimbursement?
Reimbursement.
Reimbursement. Okay. So all of our grants at the city, generally you have to pay up front, but we will pay you back. However, we reimburse in stages. So it used to be back in the day that you had to have your project completely done and then we just cut you a fat check at the end. That's not really small business friendly because it's not a lot of money to put up front and the trust facility is going to pay you back. So we started reimbursing in phases to help you bankroll your project and keep it moving. So you're also going to hear me say this a lot. Generally for our projects, we do want to see that you have some money in the bank in order to, as I say, bankroll these projects because they are reimbursement based. So generally we say that 50% of your total project cost secured is a good number just to make sure that you can have enough funds to keep the project moving as you're waiting on reimbursements. Our grant awards for the small grant are also capped based on eligible items that you put in your grant application. And I will touch more on this when we get to application tips, but make sure if you are applying for these grants that your costs are accurate because whatever you put in that application, that's what I'm going to hold for you. We have a finite resource of these because it's bond funded, which means it is not affected by the budget deficit at the city, which I'm sure everyone's heard about because they won't stop talking about it. But these funds are earmarked just for this. So you do not need to worry about any of the funds going away for this. So, but I only have so much of them. So we hold people what they put in their application. SPIF, this is like the grandmama of our small business improvement grants. It's the one that's been around the longest. I think it's celebrating 26 years this year. So this is a non-competitive grant that is rolled out in 30-day periods. So as I mentioned, the Bryn Mawr TIP district is eligible for SPIF applications starting May 1st through May 30th. For commercial businesses, you could get up to $150,000. So the award is a little bit smaller, but however, you know, it is a non-competitive grant. So you just have to get your application in. $250,000 for multi-tenant buildings, with 75% maximum assistance per individual applicant, and then $250,000 for industrial properties. So just keep in mind that our SPIF grants, as long as our CDG and NOF, they're non-transferable. So if we award you and your business at that space, that is what we are awarding. If you move from that space, you will have to relinquish the grant. If you go out of business before you can finish the project, somebody takes it over, they have to reapply. So remember that these are non-transferable. Next slide. And I don't know if we have anybody who would be NOF because generally they're more on our south and west sides, but similar to our community development grants, they're reimbursed up to 75% of eligible project costs, up to $250,000. They're open 4 times a year. So we have one coming up May 15th as well as August 14th. Again, it's for capital improvements that you're putting into your space. So you do have to be an NOF eligible district. But we do offer an additional $50,000 for technical assistance. So trying to assist people with who might need a little bit more project management assistance with their project. That's sort of a bonus that the NOF grant pays for. They also have just a little bit less draws than CDG. You can get up to three disbursements for your grant. Slide. So as I said, everything else that I just spoke about is for permanent improvements that you put in your commercial space. But we do have our Workforce Solutions program. Some people might be familiar with the program called TIFWorks. This is sort of a reimagined TIFWorks. So we opened it up to more industries. We have supplemented with bond funding. So now it's citywide, first come, first serve though. But also starting, if you are in a TIP district, some TIP districts have funding for that. So that's, you don't need to worry about that. We worry about that. $250,000 max. And this is 100% reimbursement rate. So we will pay you back in full up to $250,000. However, the reimbursements are at the end of your training. Trainings can go pretty quick. So that's why we say wait till the end of the training. But what types of trainings are we talking about here? So if you have an employee and you're looking to upskill that employee, like let's say that you want them to get better at running the books at QuickBooks, they send them to a QuickBooks training, we'd help pay for that. On the job training for new hire training. So if you employ a Chicago resident, sort of that like period where they're working for you and like they're not being like the most efficient yet because they're still learning the ropes, learning the company, we'll reimburse their wages up to 3 months, I believe. If you're going to bring a trainer in, maybe you have a new POS system at your restaurant and nobody knows Aloha, but everyone knows Talk. I have a lot of industry friends. You bring someone in and they show you how to use a new system. We'll pay for the wages of that trainer to come in and teach people all the space. Next slide. Okay, these get people really excited because they see a lot of money. So our larger grants are run by our Economic Development Bureau. Generally, the rule of thumb for our larger grants is more zeros, more requirements. But we do have tiered grants. So our medium is our newest program because we realized that like capping people in large and small was there was a gap. So our medium program pays for up to 5 million, between 300,000 and 5 million in project costs. Generally same thing, commercial, industrial, mixed use projects. Only reimburse 50% of total project costs. So where CDG small reimburse up to 75%, 50% is for CDG medium. And then our large applications, these are for like the Aetna Health, like the big boys. But we do have programs if we have any developers in the room. These are accepted on a rolling basis. These are for projects that exceed $5 million. And the support is approximately 25%. I always love when the phone rings, but you like to answer it. Nobody has that, but one day. Smaller reimbursement rate. But if you have any questions, resources about these grants at the end. Okay, so as I said, reimbursement. I'm sorry, I do not make this decision. It is out of my hands. I wish I could give you money up front. It would make life easier for everyone, but they are reimbursement based. So reimbursement rates, as a reminder, do vary by program. We typically say that 50% of total project cost financing is a good thing to have to make your project viable and healthy for receiving additional funding. And as I also mentioned, funds are dispersed at different stages. So just make sure to check the rules if you are to apply for a grant. Excuse me. Next slide, please. Okay, so who can get these? Let's get to the nuts and bolts of this. Business owners, entrepreneurs, property owners, nonprofit organizations, community developers. Generally, it's pretty broad, but You do have to be located in the city of Chicago. So our community development grant is our one grant that does not have any boundary requirements. You just have to be in the city of Chicago. However, our NOF and SPIF you do have to be in a SPIF district or an NOF district to apply for those. Commercial properties, mixed use properties, manufacturing properties, and we will also pay for rehabilitation of spaces, or for our NOF and CDG grants, we do pay for new construction. TIP funds can't be used for new construction generally. Eligible expenses. Okay, so we used to have this thing where we'd say if you took the building and you turned it upside down and you shook it, if it didn't fall out, it was most likely eligible. However, then people started bolting bookshelves to the ground and being like, it's permanent. No, it's not. If I can remove it with a drill, with a screwdriver. However, my new thing is if you would have to destroy it in order to take it with you, like those custom bookshelves that are built into the wall, you have to completely dismantle it. Like nobody's probably going to do that. That's different. Or if it wouldn't make any sense to take it with you, I'll pay for a toilet. Like I feel like people leave those generally. So yeah, but I don't know. I guess like people don't surprise me this much anymore. So in general, we're talking about major exterior and interior renovations, roofing, masonry, facade, mechanical systems like HVAC, electrical, ADA accessibility. I love when people make their spaces ADA accessible. I love equality. I want to make sure people can get into your businesses. We'll also pay for some soft costs. So if you have demolition, site prep, architectural designs, engineering designs, construction fees, we will pay for that. And for NOF and CDG only, I will cover some of your acquisition costs if you're purchasing a building. More on that later. This is always kind of piques people's interest, so we can get more into that later. Just note though, all this work, this permitted work, does need to be permitted and done by a licensed and insured Chicago GC. So I know that like Uncle Larry might be super helpful, and I'm not going to say anything, but if you're getting one of my grants, you do have to be legit to go through a general contractor that's licensed. Okay, ineligible expenses. Boo. Juanita's heard me make this joke now like 5 times, so she's rolling her eyes back there, and that's okay. I am the opposite of Santa Claus. I do not go into your house and leave you gifts. So I do not do anything for residential. I don't do anything home-based. If you are building out your garage to make cookies, you know, good for you. I don't know how you're getting it licensed. However, I can't pay for that. It has to be a commercial space. If you're a government entity, so I don't know if like the state of Illinois is in here or Cook County, I can't pay for any government buildings. So that's a no. No operational expenses, rent, bills, salaries, and wages for our capital improvement programs. That's a no. If it won't be completed in the required time frame, generally we give 2 years for build out of your space. That's 6 months for contracting, 18 months for build out. Sounds quick, but actually it's about the right amount of time. Praying nothing goes wrong, right? Like, because nothing goes wrong in construction. Everything's super easy. But if you're thinking you're going to build it out slowly over like the next 10 years, unfortunately, I don't think this would be a good program. We do want to move this money and make sure that we're getting businesses open and helping our corridors thrive. If you're already getting a grant, I do not allow grant stacking. So if you're trying to get SPIF and then you're like, oh, maybe now I'm going to get some CDG money. Nope. If your construction has already been completed, general rule of thumb in the city, nothing is retroactive. So come to Megan, come to Elle, come to the alderperson's office, tell them what you're planning to do, and they can refer you to me. So always get ahead of it. Never come back like, hey, I just did this thing. Do you think I could get something from that? That's a no-go. If you have received a grant and it's closed out, you do have to wait 3 years for that to apply again. But that's just for that current space. If you're planning on opening another space or another location because business is booming, you're doing great, you want to open up another one, you would be eligible for that space, but we only fund projects at the same location every 3 years. All right, application tips. I do not have any like magical wand waving tip to give you outside of complete the application. I know that sounds so basic, but just make sure your application is complete and that you know what you're doing and you've done your due diligence, you've done your research. That is the best tip that I can give somebody, but I will go into a little bit more. Okay, so these are just how you apply. It's all going to be at the end. See our lovely things. We have tried to make the links easier. But everything is generally through the Submittable platform. So Submittable is a free platform, just like you just have to create an account and you will see all of our available programs through Submittable where you can apply. Submittable is great. You don't have to, once you go into Submittable, you don't have to sit down and finish the whole thing. You can save your progress. I also recommend saving your application on the side, just in case. I mean, technology has never been my friend, but maybe some people are really lucky with technology. But yes, everything's through Submittable. And it's a free platform. If you, for some reason, are being prompted to pay for it, you have clicked the wrong link. You do not have to pay for it. Next. All right. So what are we looking at in these things? Readiness and feasibility after eligibility is what we score for. So we do have an eligibility screener. People will still lie on it for some reason. I don't want to know why, even though it asks, are you a business in the city of Chicago? I will still get Oak Park applications every time. After eligibility, once we've made sure that you have a project that we can fund, potentially, we look for readiness and feasibility. So this means that you have an itemized budget showing backed by a licensed contractor, showing that you have what your costs are going to be. In OF and CDG, we do like to see design documents. We want to see how you're transforming spaces. 50% of total project cost financing or a plan to secure the financing. We allow startups to apply, but we do want to see a detailed business plan just so that we can make sure that you know what you're getting into and you've done some research on the market and realistic financials, things of that nature. If you're an existing business, we want to see some profit and loss statements. We want to make sure that your business is healthy and will be able to exist, you know, through the construction monetary period. We don't want to get somebody who's like super in the red and like, you know, oh yeah, you should definitely take on that like $500,000 loan. No. And then tax documents. We love taxes. Site control. Very important. Very important. We want to make sure that you have some ownership of the space you're going to be remodeling. So we will accept a lease option. We want to make sure that it's signed by the lessor and yourself, the leasee. We want it for multiple years. Generally, we say 5, but we understand that sometimes people do shorter periods. But we just really want to make sure that you have the option to renew. We don't want a landlord that's going to be like, hey, thanks for building out my space. Bye. Deeds, real estate contracts, we love those. Owner occupied, it's always the best. I'm really nice. I will accept letter of intents for spaces because I understand that there's probably some things that you might be working on while you're applying for the grant. Like maybe the landlord is super nice and has offered to do a little bit of the build out first, but you won't sign the lease until that's done. Maybe you're waiting on a zoning change, what have you, but a letter of intent signed. I can generally tell when somebody drafted a letter of intent of themselves and hasn't talked to anyone yet. So you will need a signed letter of intent, but you will need to secure site control if you are awarded before you're issued a contract. Is that it? Financing, I'm beating a dead horse here, but I'm gonna show you an example of like what good financing looks like versus bad financing. All right, so here, this is my Vanna White portion of this. So here, this is actually the table that's in the application. You'll see we have multiple categories: business checking, personal checking, loans, securities, gifts, crowdfunding, what have you. And I know you can't see that they've uploaded proof of this financing because I'm making these tables up, but let's just pretend they have for this table. So we'll see that they've secured all of these funds, 130, 28, 800. They've attached 80,000. They've attached a proof of that. And you know, it looks great because their project costs are only like $100,000. Over here, bad table. So they're anticipating getting $75,000 in their personal checking. Maybe they're going to Vegas and they're like, I'm going to hit it big. They've listed the grant that they're applying for in their financing table. Don't do that. You don't have the grant. Don't list it. So again, I say this all the time, but I will still see it. So yes, we want to make sure, and they've uploaded nothing. I don't know if it exists. I don't know if it exists if I don't have proof, and then I have to you know, mark it, maybe it's there, but I didn't see the proof of financing, and then I have to mark your application like lower, then maybe it could have been higher. Documents. Next. Okay, I am going to say this again because I want to make sure everyone does this. Grant awards are determined by eligible costs that you put in your financing table backed by contractor bids. This is what I hold for you. If you are awarded, you will have to get a comparable bid, which, you know what, I think everyone doing construction should get a comparable bid, because you never know if somebody's just really just lying to you about what lumber costs these days. We also encourage folks to include a contingency in their grant budget table.
Sorry.
That's okay. I did the motion. We had a system, and now I'm getting all like hands up here. I cannot tell you the number of times that you bust open into a wall and the plumbing you thought was going to be back there is not back there. So add a contingency. We will cover the contingency. So if your plumbing for some reason goes up, we're still able to cover it using the contingency. And this really is hitting close to home because there's something going on behind the wall in my closet. And I'm afraid. All right, now next slide. So just as a summary, readiness, we want to see that you have a project budget, construction timeline, design documents, site control. Next. Feasibility, you've secured some financing, you have a detailed business plan, your profit and loss statement is healthy. And this one is really important. So I'm not just saying this because Juanita's in the room and she works for a ward office, but we want, or because Megan's here in the chambers, we want to make sure that you are speaking to people in the neighborhood, chambers, your elected officials, your neighbors. We want you to show us that you've done your research into how your business is going to impact the community in a positive way. Maybe that's bringing jobs. Maybe you're renovating a vacant building that's been vacant for decades. We want to see you've done some research. This is where people just really skirt this part of the application. Don't go into any details. Don't go and get letters of support from, like I said, the chamber, elected officials, neighbors, community members. This stage that I score at is the thing that usually makes or breaks your application. So maybe we have 2 applications that look really great, but one application just left that section blank. I don't know if the alderman's in support of the project. I don't know if the chamber's in support of it. I don't know if the community wants it. I don't know anything about it. But the other application, maybe they did include it. So that application will move. So do not skirt the community impact phase. And this stuff you don't have to do anything about unless, you know, I go and I make sure that your project is zoned and can exist there, that can be licensed there, and that you don't owe a lot of debt to the city. So like if Uncle Larry, your unlicensed contractor who helps you out, has borrowed the car and he doesn't understand red light tickets, they still come to you, not Uncle Larry. I know because I let my mother-in-law drive my car. Yeah, thanks, Karen. Yeah, so just maybe do a quick check before you apply for the grant. Just clear any of that stuff. Okay, common application mistakes. Failure to upload the documents that you're referencing. You're saying, I have a deed, and then you don't upload the deed. I can't score you as having a deed because I don't know if you do. Poor time management. Look, I feel like we're all the same people that we were in school. Like none of us have really changed. A lot of us are procrastinators when we wait to the last minute, myself included. Do not wait till the last minute to submit this application. Save it on the side. Make sure you get it in a little bit before the deadline. The deadline, which I'll get, I forgot the ones there. Incomplete responses. Some of these questions are like 2-3 parters. Make sure you answer all of them. Not many of them, but some of them are. Just make sure you're answering the question wholly and completely. Incomplete applications. Like I mentioned, maybe you just did not fill out the community impact part. Don't do that. And failure to meet deadlines. And this is why I love the spring, because I get to say this. Our application deadline is August 14th. My birthday is August 16th. So it is always the Friday, generally before my birthday. It shuts off at 11:59 p.m. That's right before midnight. Do not email me at 11 o'clock the Friday before my birthday saying, Hannah, submittable is down. What do I do? Because it'll probably be a garbled message back being like, because I have mentally clocked out at that point. At midnight on August 15th, it will shut off. I have no exceptions to that. That's the deadline. There are no exceptions. I've never granted one. I never will. If you do not get it in time, you have to apply in the next round in February. Okay. What else we got? Resources. Next slide. We've made very nice little links for everyone for our programs. And these pages are very comprehensive. We've been doing this a lot. We've gotten asked a lot of questions. We update these frequently. You'll see webinars. You'll see a posting of like this very thing on there right now on our sites. If you if you're applying for a location-based grant, we do have locator tools to make sure that you're in an eligible area, as well as just resources like crazy. Next slide. All right. If you have questions, these are the folks you contact. For CDGS, that's me. That's Hannah Jones. 2 of everything, darling. It's a palindrome. Don't leave that A off. It will bounce back. Joshua Sun is our lovely coworker who handles NOF. Nora Curry, that's my Chicago angel. She's so lovely. She handles SPIF. And then Lihia, who's such a peach. She does workforce solutions. We're all very nice people. I promise. I will never make fun of a question that you have. And if you can't remember any of these emails, you can always just shoot over to Hannah Jones. Let's face it, I like the John Smith of names up there. And I will get you in the right direction. Questions? Oh, come on. Nobody has a question about the acquisition and what's eligible? Okay. I usually get some. They usually like, hey, will you buy a building from me? I was like, I will help a little bit. Seriously, nothing? My presentation was that good?
Clear.
Yeah.
What you are gonna, oh, curious.
Okay, yes.
Is there a prioritization giving stuff out to nonprofits first?
Perfect question. All right. So nonprofits are eligible to apply for our SPIF, NOF, and CDG and Workforce Solutions. However, for CDG, because of the funding source, you do have to be a revenue generating business. So if you're a nonprofit that is building out a coffee shop to supplement your income, and like maybe it's like a workforce training program and it's going to be a cafe, we'll pay for that because it does bring in revenue. If you're a nonprofit that is going to be building out incubator space to rent to small businesses, we'll help build out that incubator space. So this is sort of what I mean by revenue generating. If you are a church, unfortunately, I don't consider that revenue generating because of the passing around of plate. We've gotten that question before. No churches, I'm sorry. It's not personal. Yes.
So if it was like nonprofit running you probably answered this, but just to clarify, if it was like a nonprofit running a building that was like a space.
Yes. That would be eligible. Yeah, that would be. And we do not prioritize, like especially for CDG, like, it's really just about the completeness and the feasibility of your application. We don't want to award somebody who's not going to be able to complete the grant. They're frustrated. I'm frustrated. Everyone's frustrated. I don't like when people are frustrated with me, and I don't like being frustrated people. So I just try and make sure we don't get in that situation. But yeah, no prioritization. Yes.
Do you have like a resource for business owners who are looking to get bids for certain GCs that are in Chicago? Someplace that done them to? Is there like, I know that can be a struggle.
That's something we've been trying to work on because
Because I'm dealing with that with a current client of mine, and
is anyone here in the room at GC? Okay, then I can say this. Some GCs are mean.
Yeah.
Like, so there's like this that show, The Last of Us, or whatever, with Pedro Pascal. He makes a joke in there, whatever her name is, Ellie asked, what were you in before the apocalypse? And he's like, I was a general contractor. She was like, how was that? He goes, oh, it's great. Everyone loved us. And I was like, oh, okay. But we are trying to work on that resource. Should be an email. Because Mary, our deputy commissioner, and I have been talking a lot about it. And I think she's been trying to make some headway on it because yeah, that's very, how do you know if like this is a good bid, if it's not? Also my guy's a facility guy, so I could also just ask him to let you know. He works with contractors. Yes, anyone else? But yeah, no, that is definitely a thing. Like we are working on it. Yes.
Just a quick question. I know your workforce solutions, that deadline's tomorrow. Is that like a one time a year thing or does that come out other times of the year?
Shoot me an email. I'll connect with Leah. That's unfortunately, I'm so sorry, guys. That's the one that I have the least, like out of the 4 programs. That's the one that I have like, because it's still so new. We just launched it. It hasn't even been a year, so I don't have all the details for that one. But let me see. I think they are open quarterly, but let me check when it's going to be open again. Okay. Yes. So I'll take care of that. For the workforce solutions, if you are in a TIP district, it is a non-competitive process. So you just have to make sure you get the application in when the funds are available until the funds run out. If you are not in a TIP district, we do have some bond funding available. That's why our CDG grant doesn't have any boundaries. It's bond funded. That bond funding is competitive. You do have to apply and put an application in. So yes, just keep that in mind if you're thinking of the workforce solution programs. But I will, if you shoot me an email, I'll get you that next deadline. And that goes for everyone. Or I can just say, whenever we send this out, I can say, oh, next workforce solution. So I'll figure it out. We'll get that information to the people. It's also probably on the website. So also, sir, I'm so sorry. You're in my line of sight and I feel like I keep looking at you. I don't know if that when people are like presenting, they always just kind of find that face. I'm always very aware. I'm like always trying to look around, but then I feel like I still have to make eye contact with one person. So I'm so sorry. All right. It's always someone.
So we can email this out. To
Yes.
the register?
Yes, and I think you have the copy of the presentation already.
I
Yes.
do,
Yeah. So please email it out. It has all the notes. It has all the contact information. It has all the web pages. So yeah, if you guys wouldn't mind emailing it out, that'd be super helpful.